Hello, there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is that I've not been able to do this week's entry in one take. The good news is I've now got a nice cup of tea which was made for me in the middle of my last attempt at doing this video. Cheers. This week's video is an appreciation of Aretha Franklin, the 9th artist in the top 100 artists of all time. The first solo artist, the first woman that I've given you so far. She won't be the last. The late great Aretha Franklin was born in Memphis, Tennessee, but her family moved to Detroit in the north when she was only 5. Her father, C.L. Franklin, was the main influence on her life because he divorced from her mother when she was very young, and then her mother died when Aretha was just 9. C.L. Franklin was a church minister. Now you might think being a church minister would mean a good, civilised, law-abiding person. Not necessarily always the case in America, it seems. Certainly, he was only on nodding terms with the 6th commandment, which is the one about committing adultery. He was a bit of a player. There were even rumours of orgies within his church. But, on the plus side, he was one of the leading figures in the American gospel music scene. And Aretha joined his choir when she was barely an infant, and by the age of 12 she was already doing solos for him and tours with the gospel choir. She was precocious in more ways than one, despite what I think is a fairly sober image that Aretha has. She doesn't come across as a hellraiser at all. But she had the first of her 4 children at the age of 12. You'd think she'd learn from that. But she had the second of her 4 children at age 14. Things did settle down, and her final 2 children were in more conventional circumstances when she was in her 20s and, in fact, married. She released a few gospel records while she was a teenager, and she was also a talented pianist. According to her sister, she could just hear a tune and pick it up straight away. When she was 18, she got a record contract from Columbia to do secular pop songs. Columbia didn't make the most of her. She did okay there, some reasonable records, but none which really realised the full potential of her voice. Other labels realised this, circled round her and tried to sign her. She's lived in Detroit. It was the prime time for Tamla Motown. You'd have thought they'd have been the ones to land her signature. But no, it was actually Atlantic Records who got her in 1966. It turned out to be a great move for Aretha. Atlantic Records had a legendary studio in Muscle Shoals down in the south of America in Alabama, and she went down there to work on some soulful material. On the one hand, the visit was a bit disastrous because she went with her husband at the time, Ted White, and he liked to drink, and when he'd had a drink, he got a bit feisty, shall we say. He got very jealous of the session musicians, and it ended in fisticuffs. So the Franklins fled back up north, and the sessions fell apart. Nonetheless, in the limited time they'd had down there, they'd created some gold. In particular, they'd completed the song "I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You." There was magic to be had. So the record company brought the session musicians up to New York, and she completed a brilliant album. An album whose next single was an even better song, Aretha's version of the Otis Redding classic Respect. I'm on the fence here as to whether her version is better than Otis Redding's, because Otis Redding is so damn good. But Aretha Franklin is one of two great artists that I like, who routinely, when they do cover versions, usually end up making a better record than the original. Johnny Cash is the other who I would give that kind of praise to. It became Aretha's first and actually sadly only US #1 single. The Atlantic years are the golden era of Aretha Franklin, both artistically and commercially. Excuse me, I'm just going to close the door because the microwave is beeping. I'm back. Where was I? The Atlantic years are the golden era of Aretha Franklin, both artistically and commercially. Hit after hit followed, and she rightly earned a reputation as a queen of soul. She wrote some songs, decent songs, sometimes in partnership with her sisters or her husband. Her sisters would do backing vocals for her, but a lot of the best songs, as I said, were the covers. As the 60s turned into the 70s, she wasn't charting quite as high. Perhaps the most interesting record she did in this period was Amazing Grace in 1972, which was where she went back to gospel. She filmed a gospel concert with a view to it being made into a film and a live record. For some reason, it never happened at the time. Technical problems they put it down to. So it didn't come out in 1972, but the live film was released in 2019, and it's great. The title, it's the only thing which would make me want to go to church. The title track, Amazing Grace, might be the best vocal performance of her career, which is saying something. But at 12 minutes and 41 seconds, it does overstay its welcome. So I've not put it on the playlist because I'd have had to leave another 4 songs out. In 1980, she had a bit of a resurgence in her career when she played a cameo in the Blues Brothers film and sang one of the great songs, I think it was. No pun intended. And in 1982, she returned to the pop charts with some more dance-orientated material. Hit songs such as Freeway of Love and Who's Zooming Who. She should release that in the COVID era. It could become a big hit again, Who's Zooming Who. It meant nothing at the time, but 2020 it mean a lot. In 1985, she duetted with Annie Lennox of the Eurythmics on Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves, which remains a popular party record to this day. And in 1987, she had another US #1, albeit this time it was a duet with George Michael. I Knew You Were Waiting For Me. Good songs, not as good as the 60s stuff for me, though. She won 18 Grammys in her life, including the first 8 awards for Best Female R&B Vocal. She really did dominate that category between 68 and 75. At the Grammys in 1998, what impressed wasn't so much for winning a Grammy, it was how when Luciano Pavarotti had to pull out at the last minute, and he'd been due to sing Nessun Dorma. Aretha really did show a versatility there by stepping in to give a show-stopping performance of a song, even though it was written for a male tenor. In 2009, she got international acclaim when she sang at Barack Obama's presidential inauguration. Her reputation is undimmed to this day. 2017 she made music up until 2017 when she had to stop due to health reasons, and she died in 2018 aged just 76. However, her reputation is safe. She is a legend, one of the all-time greats.